everyone, it's Narelle here from Cricut Explore Maker and More Facebook group, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to assemble this pop-up bouquet card. Okay, so now we're going to start assembling the flowers. So each of the flowers has the drawn image or the drawn line around the outside. Now you're going to find in my Design Space file that there are three versions of these flowers. The first version doesn't have any lines drawn either in the middle or around the outside. Second version has just these lines on the inside here drawn, and then on the third version it has the lines and the outside lines as well. So what you need to do is decide what you want. You may want to just cut the version that doesn't have any lines and then use your own pencils or markers to draw all these lines yourself, and that is how a lot of the videos that I've seen on YouTube, that's what they have done. They've just gone and taken some markers and drawn all that themselves. But I just wanted to do it so that I didn't have to spend the time doing that myself. So I cut these out using that third version. So just remember to go to the layers panel and just hide whichever group of those flowers you don't want to cut. Okay, so before I start assembling these, I'm just going to take my thicker marker and I'm just going to go around these lines because there is just a little bit of white showing and I don't want that to be shown. So I'm just going to take the marker that I used for the that I used in the maker, and then I'm going to go and add just a little bit of shading myself around the outside of that. So when I do that, I always turn it over and do it from the back side when I want to do around the outside, because if I make a mistake, and I usually do, as I'm doing that, the pen will drop and I'll draw on the paper here. If I do it this way, it's not going to be seen, whereas if I do that, I'm going to end up with random lines all over the place, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to take my pen and just go around the outside, and you can see that just doing that covers that white edge. So I'll go ahead and do that to all of these flowers, and when that's done I'll be back. Okay, so now all those flowers are ready to be assembled. So let's start with the first flower, and you'll see that each flower has score lines through it, and I'm going to fold on each of those score lines, and they're going to be folded valley fold. And as I fold them, I just make sure that my petals that I'm folding together line up, and that just makes the flowers a little bit neater when you go and stick all the flowers together. So as I fold them, I just make sure it's as close to possible as being straight and aligned. And then I'm going to do that for each of the flowers. Now once I've finished folding all of those petals, you'll see that one of the petals, so we've got a missing piece here, and then we've got this petal that has no lines or no internal lines drawn on it. And this is the line that you're going to put glue on, because you're going to stick this petal on top of this petal like that. And once you do that, you'll see that you've got the inside lines on every petal that's now showing. So to do that, I'm just going to use my Barely Art glue, and I'm going to put glue on the whole of that petal. And then glue those two together. And once I've got that on there, I'm just going to turn that over, and again just make sure my petals properly aligned, and then let that set to dry. So there's my first petal or first flower done. So I'm going to sit that down, I'm going to let that dry, and then continue to do the same with all of the other flowers, and then again I'll be back. Okay, so now my flowers have been assembled. So what we now do is we're going to fold these in half, and I like to fold it along the line where I glued the two pieces together. So where that join is, that's where I'm going to fold, and I'll do that on each of these flowers. Find that fold and fold them there. Okay, so there are the flowers now folded. So now I'm going to take out this sheet here, and as I said, you'll find a link to the PDF of this, which will help you to assemble them. So now we'll put our flowers up the same way that they appear on our sheet. Okay, so we've got one at the top here, and this is the flower that we're going to start with. Then we've got 6 more flowers. Now we've got, we'll put them the same way they appear. So what you can see on this sheet here is you have the 6 flowers here, and then underneath that is what the reverse of these flowers will be. So we'll put our 6 along here like that, and then we've got our one at the top. Now this is the one we're going to start with. So what I'm going to do is take a pencil, and I'm going to number them the way that you see them on here. And this just makes it so much easier when you're assembling them, because you don't get mixed up with what petal goes where. So on this one, you can see that I've got 1, 4, and 2. So I'm going to go 1, 4, 2. And if you want, you can also put the A, B, C, D, etc. on them. That may also make things a little bit easier for you. And these won't be seen once you assemble the flowers, so you don't have to worry about rubbing them out. So then I'm going to go to B, and all it has on this side is a 1 here, and I can put B there. And then on the reverse of that, I turn it over, and I'm going to put 6 and 3, just like it says on the pattern here. So I'll put 6 and 3. So that's that one done. Put that one there at the top. So I'll bring that down so it stays on screen. So my next one, which is C, I'm going to put 2 on this right hand petal. I'm going to turn it over and then go 5 and 9. This will all become clear once we start assembling it. So my next one is D, and on this side it's 5, 4, 3. I'll turn that over and go 7, 11, and 8. My next one, which is E, is 7, 6. Turn that over and 10. This one is F, and it's 9 and 8. Flip it over. On the reverse, I'm putting 12. And my final one, which is G, is 12, 11, and 10. And on the reverse, there is nothing. So now that you've done that, we start with this one at the top, which is 1, 4, 2. And this is flower number A. I'm then going to get flower B, and you can see that I've got a 1 on this flower here, flower A, and I have a 1 on this one. So the 1 on here is going to go on top of and against the 1 on this flower. So you can see when I flip this flower over, my 1 that is here is going to be glued to the 1 on flower A. So 1 on flower B gets stuck to 1 on flower A. So the 2 numbers, just remember the 2 numbers go against each other. So when I do this, I'm going to be again using glue, but you do not want to put glue over the entire petal. You only want glue at the very tip. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue just at the top here. Then I'm going to again put 1 against 1 and then line those up. and then again let that set. So just remember, do not put glue over the entire petal, so just at the tip. So now I'm going to take my next one, which is C, and I've now got showing here, I have my 2 here and I've got 2 here. So again, I'm going to flip 2 over. So I'm flipping the flower C over so that the 2 and the 2 are going to go against each other. Again, put a little bit of glue up the top here. Flip that over and the 2 goes against the 2. Line those up, and the petals should always meet here in the middle. So just that up, and I always like to turn it over and check and make sure that everything again is aligned. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit off, but I guess I'm just a little bit picky and that I like it to be as neat as possible. Okay, so now we've done B and C, and you can go and tick those off just so that you know where you're up to. So now we're up to this one, which is D. So we've got 5, 4, and 3. And on the reverse, we've got 7, 11, and 8. So now let's have a look. We've got 5, 4, 3. So we look for 5, 4, and 3 on here, and you can see that it's the opposite to what's here. So that means that D is going to go up the top here, so that the 5 is against the 5, the 4 is against the 4, and the 3 is against the 3. So this time we're going to put glue on each of those 3 tips. And then turn the whole thing over and glue that to 3, 4, and 5 on here. So just hold that down. Again, look to the back just to make sure that it's nice and lined up. Okay, so that was D, so we can check that one off, and we're now up to E. So on E we've got 7 and 6, so we look for 7 and 6 on here. When I flip E over, my 7 will go against the 7 and the 6 will go against the 6. So anything that's numbered is where you put glue. If there's no number on any of the petals, you don't put glue on there. So we're only putting glue on the top of the 7 and the 6. We flip that over and put that on top of the 6 and 7 on the rest of the flower. So again, just hold that down, wipe off any excess glue, check the back. So you can see as you build this, it can get a little bit out of line, but I just turn that over and just check and line that up before that glue sets. Okay, so that was E. Now we're up to F, which is this one. So we've got 9 and 8. We look for 9 and 8 on here. So again, glue here and glue here. Flip it over and put the 8 against the 9, 8 against the 8, and the 9 against the 9. Making sure that we've still got that nice V shape there, and that they're as lined up as possible. Okay, so that was F done. So the last one is G. So we've got 12, 11, and 10. And then on the flower here, we've got 10, 11, 12. So where's that going to go? We're going to flip that over, and they're going to stick on top of there. So again, just the tips. And pop that on the middle there. And we've now finished assembling that flower. So we'll let all of that glue dry before we try to open that flower. Okay, so now before we stick this on here, we need to attach our leaves. If you don't want leaves on there, then don't worry about this step. But I have 8 leaves here. They've got a kind of a pointier end and not quite so pointy. So just work out which way you want the leaf, which part of the leaf to be shown. And which side, because I cut mine on double-sided printed paper. I need to work out which side I want to be shown. So now where do you stick your leaves? So you're going to take one of your leaves and you're going to stick that on that position there, and then you'll take another one and that's going to stick there. So there's going to be 4 on each side of this flower. Then you'll have a leaf there and a leaf there. So you don't glue any leaves over this kind of join here. You don't want to do any gluing on that. So I'm going to just take my glue and I want to stick it this way because I want this piece to be shown when the flower's open. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom here. So I'm actually gluing on the side of the leaf that's going to be shown, and then just position that where you want that to be. You don't have to glue the whole entire leaf, and they don't have to match each side. So I'm using this as the bottom, so I'll just put some glue there. Gotta remember, make sure you're gluing on the right side. So that's going to go there. And then this one, and that's going to go there. So now you'll turn the flower over and take the rest of your leaves and put them in the same places on this side of the flower. Again, they don't have to all line up. Flowers aren't perfect, so you know, you can pop those down however you want. Okay. Okay, now I want all of that glue to dry before I start trying to open that flower. Okay, so now that we've glued our leaves on, we're almost ready to, or we basically are ready to put this into our card. So I gently just tease it open just to make sure nothing's glued together that shouldn't be. And I've got a little bit of stray glue here and there, so I'm just going to clean that up. And that was from gluing the leaf down. So I've got a little bit of wet glue still there, so I need that to dry, otherwise my flower's going to stick together. So just gently tease it open. And when you've got it right, you'll see that you're going to have your flowers are going to show like that. Okay, now there's no left, right, top or bottom. It's exactly the same on all sides, so it doesn't matter which way you put this up. But once you're ready to put that in, and mine needs to dry just a tiny little bit more, but I'm going to power on here. So I've kind of teased it open so I know that nothing's stuck together. I'm just going to close that back up, and you're going to take your card, and this section that has the V in it is going to point to the inside of the card. Now it doesn't have to go flush to the middle, so what I'm doing is I'm lining it up with where my white piece goes. So I'm lining my 2 petals up like that, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on this piece here, so on the petal that's in between the 2 leaves. Again, you don't want to put it over the entire petal, but you want to put it on enough so that your flower or the petal doesn't tear when the card's open. So I'm putting it here, I'm going over the leaf a little bit, and then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to fold that down and then let that set. So again, you don't want to use too much glue that it oozes out everywhere, but you do want enough that this is going to stay stuck to the card. If you don't use enough, or if your paper's very flimsy, it could tear as the card's being opened fully. So I'm going to let that set. So now while that's setting, I can turn the card over the other way, and then I'm going to repeat that and put some glue here and close that card up, and again let that set. I'll do the same on this side, and then really let that glue set before you start trying to tease that flower open. Okay, so now I don't need my glue anymore, so I'll put the cap on that so it doesn't dry out again. And then holding down, and my glue isn't 100% dry yet, but it's dry enough. So now what you're going to do is you're going to put your thumb on both of those petals that you've glued down, and then again just kind of tease that open. And then what you can do is, with it open like that, you can leave that then to dry 100%. Right, so now everything's dry and I can open and close that card without anything ripping. So that's basically my card ready, just to add a sentiment and then stick that in the post. So hopefully you enjoyed that tutorial. If you did, please give me a like. I really appreciate the likes that I get. And I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye for now.